Welcome, 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 everybody. My name is Safia, and you're listening to APN's Waveform. Today, our topic is time, something that you always have too much of or not enough of. Today, I'm here with my fellow APN members, Ethan Tran and Ricky Wong, as well as our awesome instructor, Mr. Suñez. Let's get going. So, before COVID, I was so busy. I had another sport, I do an extra language classes, and on top of that, I was in APN. And in APN, I was the APN live sports producer, so I was constantly getting ready to do a live stream, I was constantly prepping a live stream, or I was doing the live stream. And I know Suñez and Ethan were also feeling that because Ethan, even though he may not have officially been a part of it, he was definitely considered part of the team.
Yeah, it was. I just liked volunteering. It was fun doing something that I loved. Like as much as I wasn't like officially a part of it, like the APN members in there always made me feel like I was a part of something. So I never like wanted to not volunteer.
Yeah, Ethan became one of our most like our biggest volunteer, right? So you knew how busy that we were, right? I mean, Ethan, you were working with us probably every week, right? Twice a week sometimes.
I think almost every live stream. It was very fun.
And some weeks we'd do 2 live streams, right, Safia? Sometimes one. I mean, but there was a lot more to do then.
And then Ethan was also friends with everybody, so even if we didn't have a live stream that day, he'd come and help out with the show, or just kind of chill with us, and it was super nice.
Yeah, I always loved helping other people, like helping them edit, like seeing their smiles on their faces after I would help them get through something that they didn't know. It was very heartwarming to me.
Yeah, it was super nice, especially because I'm not the best at editor, and Ethan is an amazing editor, and so he would always help me edit or teach me tips and tricks. It was super nice. And then,
I mean, that sounds pretty rough. Yeah, I did none of that. It was my first year in APN, but that sounds really rough, yeah.
I wouldn't say it was rough. I think it was, well, I guess some of it was rough, right? But
I guess there were days where it was super rough, but I feel like I miss it so much. But it was definitely rough on some days, but it was also amazing.
Yeah, I miss it a lot too. As stressful as it was, like sometimes it even got stressful for me, But like I felt like it was kind of like a fun kind of stress, At least for me, I really enjoyed doing what I did, no matter how stressful it got. As much as I would complain, like deep down, I knew like, oh wow, I really love what I'm doing right now.
And those streams that we would do, right? Like it's so much to set up. It's like it's like a whole week of we're working just to get it going. And then doing them was also a ton of time together, right? So there was just like, this is the first year where most of my time has not actually physically been with you all.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot more time to be with my wife and home, which has been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially now that we are in the quarantine and you kind of, in the beginning of quarantine, everybody was kind of I was kind of realizing, oh, I don't need to get up at this time. Oh, I don't need to rush out of a door into the car and to get stuck in traffic before going to school. But I know for me at my house, there was a crazy amount of construction going, and I'm Muslim, so we also had Ramadan. So we were all kind of in a hectic mindset too. So I kind of didn't feel like I had that much free time, but I definitely know I was feeling a lot more chill, but a lot more stressed, if that makes any sense, in different ways than I would be if we weren't in quarantine or in school.
And the busy stress is like a different stress, right? I mean, at least it's a stress that comes with some payoff, right? We produce something amazing. We share more memories of the school. The stress you're probably feeling now is like, what's next? What do I do? Right?
Yeah, 100%.
I think the beginning of I guess it didn't really sink in until a while through it, right? When we thought we'd be back, we all got, that all came down March 13th on us, and maybe we thought we'd be back, and obviously we're still out of it and all home doing this podcast all remotely, like we're doing everything. But I think we've done the best we can. and I think the free time has had some value.
Yeah, I think with the free time, I started I started doing a lot more things that I wouldn't have imagined myself doing if like school was like still like regularly in session. I found myself going like exploring more often, doing like doing more creative things. Like at first, like of course when like quarantine first hit, like I didn't know what to do. I thought it was just like regular summer break. I just chilled and everything, but like now that I got like sort of used to it, I kind of like got on more photo. I like kind of went out on photo shoots and everything. Started playing with my
Yeah,
camera more.
you seem to be exploring, like, you're out there, right? You even are working, right? You've got like a
Yeah.
video gig.
I found a job during quarantine too. So like I wouldn't have imagined
But
myself.
most
doing
people are becoming unemployed. You're finding work during quarantine.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't
Was it
have
like
imagined myself like doing this like let's say like exactly a year ago. Like if you said like, hey, in 5 months you're gonna like be working, you're gonna be like taking photos like you've always dreamed of, and I would be like, I don't have that kind of time. You're crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because not only is Ethan doing it, but he's really really good at it too. Like the stuff that he creates and that he's able to like I can't just like see like I don't have a vision, like I can't just see something, but Ethan can see like oh what something would look like completely edited, and then he just does it. So it's really cool to kind of watch him do that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
It
Yeah.
has
mean,
been
what?
really cool. Oh, sorry, Ricky. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, like what I think. I think I kind of agree with Ethan's. Like, I'm sure you wanted to find something to spend your time on that was like time well spent, right? And I think that's like really valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I also did a lot of like different art stuff and things like that. But when realizing, you know, with all the hours that I had, I personally I didn't really want to just jump in and like do nothing or like do something useless. Like I wanted to spend it on something that had like value. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I get exactly what you mean. Like, even like with me, like I still like sometimes I still get like a little bit of free times, with the weekend or something, and like whenever I would play games, I would like always feel like, wow, what am I doing with my life? So I even found a way to
Well,
like do something convenient with that. I
I mean,
started
I think
Twitch streaming and all that.
I think that's fine. I think that's time well spent too. Like you had fun, but I'm just saying different people have different perceptions of what they think is good, valuable time, and I'm just saying like now more than ever we have all that and we have an opportunity to spend it on something.
Yeah. I
I'll
think
definitely admit that I did a little gaming. I did play the Zelda, and I did get pretty close to beating that. And and under normal times, I would have found that a complete waste of my time. Under these times, I found it so important to have a little something there. And that was at the beginning of all of this. That's when I was like, I need something like right now, and Zelda was that. Since then, I've discovered many more things that satisfy my time.
I know that when we first started quarantine, like we all were kind of finding these little things that kind of were getting us through it. It was so weird for me saying, oh, wait, oh, I don't have to go to this class. Oh, I don't have something to do after school today. Oh, I don't have to check what my schedule is like because my schedule is empty. Because I wasn't physically allowed to do these things anymore. So I know that I slowly started, when I was a kid, I started to love having my nails done. And but last year I did not have any time to get my nails done or do my nails myself, which would take forever. So I know I've slowly become back with and obsessed with doing my nails. I mean, I would show you guys, but I'm prepping right now. So,
I know. I found. I kind of went back to two things. I've been doing a lot more writing and playing Legos, which maybe we'll talk about later.
I mean, in the beginning, I'm just kind of wondering I'm sure now like we're in the groove of things, right? Like we get the schedule, we understand how it felt, but for me towards the beginning, like looking back now, it's kind of like a blur. For me, it felt like school just ended, right? And now we have like a really long summer vacation. But
For some of you, it did end, right?
Yes.
All right.
I never showed up to class.
Yeah. I think Ethan Tran kind of checked out. No, you were there, Ethan.
I showed up like 4 times and then I stopped.
Showed up a few times. You
Yeah.
showed up when I needed you most to help us on other things. But yeah, definitely some people had an extended summer break starting
Or just an end to their
starting March
high school,
13th.
Yeah.
or just an end to their high school careers. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue, Ricky. You just kind of interrupted you.
Well, I mean, that was kind of mostly it. Like, just started waking up later in the day. The hours went by faster. What I do think now is like, I spend a lot of time in my room, right? And because of that, here's kind of what I think. Because you spend your time in your room usually relaxing, and you do work outside in school, right? Like, what I kind of realized is that lifestyle sort of merged, and now the place you work is the place you sleep.
The stress of like all the outside world is now here, right? Like this is my like studio.
Yeah.
Like this is like not my classroom. This is my garage where I do all my projects and all my stuff, and now it's just like it's work. It's just like the place I walk to for
You have a super
10
short
seconds.
commute.
Yeah, my short commute from my back door of my house across my backyard and to the back part of my property where my garage is. But it's definitely been a weird change. But
And that brings me to another thing. Because my house was doing construction, I've recently and since forever I've been kind of like thinking about my room. Oh, how do I want it to fit my vibe? But now I'm also thinking, how can I fit where I am in my life right now? How can I fit this weird circumstances? Because before I refused to have a desk. I did not like having a desk. I loved to do my homework just sitting on the living room floor. But now I realize I don't really want to sit next to my brothers 24/7. And I love my brothers to death, but I can't do that. It's just not going to work for me. So then I'm now kind of trying to fill my times doing small things and be in those things fully.
you touched on something cool, interesting there, which is like kind of re-envisioning our spaces, right? It's like, are we going to go back to like maybe this doesn't affect you guys, but like, are we going to have the same kind of office culture that we had before? And, now our rooms are your classroom and my classroom and everyone's room. And it's like, and Ricky's like kind of spot on with this for me. It's like just the more time that I've spent at my house, I've just noticed everything that's wrong with it. Every piece of peeling paint, every piece of busted floorboard, and that's presented some opportunities in and of itself too for me to take up some of my time. But yeah, now we have like an even bigger investment on where we are right now, where we live, because it's also everything else to us.
Exactly. And I know I've been trying to feel like, oh, okay, how do I make my room feel like my place? But how do I also make it functional so I don't, instead of making it so vibey, I just want to like listen to music in here, but how can I also still be able to do my homework and be productive in my room? Because my room is essentially my hub right now where I'm spending all of my time, so.
And I don't know about how many of you. I mean, it's just me and my wife, so we're able to kind of divvy up our space and our work pretty easily. But or at least people I'm sure have bigger families or lots of people, and not everybody has a space or a room, and there's just so many unique problems like right now, right? Like, but also unique opportunities for our time and how to use that. I think all of us here have found some pretty creative and unique ways to use that time.
And we'll talk about that right after we come from a break. Unfortunately, there's no sponsor for this episode, but I do want to take time to update you all on what APN is doing in general, besides this podcast. So as we mentioned in our news show, we are in the middle of discussing whether to change our name due to the renewed attention on Arcadia High's Apache emblem. We have sought out many perspectives and are doing a lot of research into this very sensitive subject. As a result, we have released a community survey to get the opinions of you, the viewer, which can be assessed at tinyurl.com/namechangeapn, with APN in capital letters. The form will be open until January 29th at 11:59 p.m. Of course, we have our recurring game show, Agata AFK, which is now hosted by Kevin Wu. This week, he features his take on Cyberpunk 2077, the removal of the PogChamp emote, Episode 2 of Valorant, and other gaming headlines. Finally, we're planning on releasing our semi-annual documentary this semester, so we hope you will be there for all of our upcoming and recent developments. So, welcome back, everyone. So, Suñez, just from watching your wife's stories on Instagram, I've seen that you guys have done some really cool things just over quarantine and super safely. So, why don't you tell us about what you've done?
Yeah, just a little backstory. My wife does have some health conditions, so we are trying to be like really, 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 really safe and serious about all this. But that being said, we have been able to get away, like get out. There's ways to, do stuff safely. As long as you take some precautions. So we thankfully, we do have a family place in Arizona that we've been able to travel to. And we were actually there for Thanksgiving, which was really nice. So my sister, who lives like a block away from me, and my niece, they quarantined for 2 weeks. And then my wife and I also quarantined at our house for 2 weeks. And then we all met up in Arizona. So, there are ways to do it. If, obviously we have all three of us have the luxury of being able to work from home, right? And my niece being able to learn from home. So yes, you can still get out. You can still do stuff. All right. We've been to Joshua Tree a few times, just to ourselves. We were able to get Airbnb out there. And I even taught from Joshua Tree for a whole week. If you guys noticed, I'm sure you guys did. And look, that's one of the freedoms of the limitations that we have right now, right? Was that we actually could teach from anywhere. So I have been able to teach you guys from Arizona. I have been able to teach you guys from Joshua Tree, and it hasn't been disruptive, I think. In fact, it's maybe been kind of interesting or fun for you guys too, to some degree. Like, oh, cool, new background, something different, right? Something different besides this. So I've gotten out. My wife and I have tried to do things, and obviously we're doing them safely and just, small, her and I, but there are ways, dude. There are ways.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I think it's really nice to know that like even our teachers have like with all this quarantine stuff going on and everything. I think it's really nice to see our teachers like being more open about their personal lives. It's really refreshing, and like it's almost wholesome to see it. Really, it's really yeah.
I probably get too personal, huh? You know too much about me.
That got a little awkward, but yeah, Suñez, little TMI there. But
I know. Now we're just, it's a different time now, right? It's now just emotions and things. It's like there's a whole, I don't know, like I feel like we're like communicating in different ways with each other these days. Even just, I don't know. We never used to check in with each other's mental health, right? Like that wasn't something we normally do. And
even on our APN production reports, Suñez always includes how are you feeling this week? And you are allowed to share if you want to, but you don't always have to share. And I think it's a super good way to kind of even check in with yourself, kind of see, okay, well, how have I been this week? What has worked for me? What hasn't worked for me this week? And I think that's super cool. So
on just getting back to the topic of I'm talking forever, but I'll say one more thing that I've done that has inspired me through the pandemic, which is I did a solo backpacking trip. So my very first solo backpacking trip, and I did like 25 or it was like 30 miles or something, out in the Sierras just by myself. It was socially distanced. There was nobody else out there. And I'd never done a solo trip before. And, just the reality of what we're in right now, I thought that was the safest way for me to get out to nature. And I might not have done that this early on in my in my backpacking days, but that is something else that I did, and I was able to go and be by myself and learn that I could do that and be alone, just in my own thoughts by myself, like for a few days in the wilderness. And it was really enlightening internally, and also just necessary before school started to just get some perspective before starting this whole virtual thing, and you know, it still being a new thing.
Yeah, and right before Thanksgiving break, or during Thanksgiving break actually, my family drove up to my aunt's house. We quarantined before and they quarantined before, and we spent all of those days just hanging out with each other by the river. And I think nature,
And doesn't it even feel more special too? Like, you're
absolutely.
like, I waited 2 weeks of no one else, nothing else, not going to the store, not everything delivered or ordered, cooking at home this whole time. Like, I really love you, niece and sister.
No,
So,
absolutely. And it kind of
yeah.
makes you be like, you're like, every little stupid moment makes you enjoy it that much more. Like, I was like, I've been waiting and waiting to see my cousins. And it was so nice to like kind of see these just little kids for a minute who every waking moment isn't about COVID or what their
Mhm.
grades are. And it was
Yeah.
just, and I think spending time by the river with these people that I love was so kind of like a breath of fresh air after the crazy year we've had. And I know actually Ricky went on a trip too. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, if you'd like to hear. It was actually in Thanksgiving break also. Um, in my smaller circle of family, my uncle and my aunt, we went out with my two little cousins to go up to Big Bear. They actually rented like an Airbnb, like a solo home, so away from the people, not really like it's not like we didn't go to a hotel or anything. And it was really cool. Uh, Spent time with the little cousins, but unfortunately, it's kind of cut short because my little cousin, he was showing some sickness, right?
Oh no.
He was nauseous. He was feeling really out of it. Like he threw up multiple times, and they didn't have like I'm assuming the situation there, like in terms of healthcare, or like not healthcare, but like hospitals. We couldn't find a hospital nearby, so my uncle just said, okay, you know what? My family can just stay here. We're gonna take the kids back home, and they drove back down the mountain. And for the rest of the time there, we tried to make the most out of it. Visited the city, tried to look at different lakes. Uh, tried to make the most out of our sort of short-lived family thing. But when we came back down a few days later, we met again at our grandma's house, and I saw my little cousin. He was perfectly fine running around. This guy, he wears no pants. Okay,
Maybe it was
that might be
altitude
country.
sickness. It's a little higher up there too. Some people are more sensitive to that.
You you spoiled my story, Mr. Suñez.
Oh, is that what it was?
I asked my
Oh.
uncle.
Oh, is that exactly?
I
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I asked my uncle. And I was like, okay, what happened? Is he okay? And he said like, okay. The minute we got down, I bought him a burrito. We went home and he was fine.
And it was fine.
So-
There you go.
Yeah, they think it was altitude sickness. Yeah.
I've been to Mount Whitney, and even though the solo trip that I was in, it was in the John Muir Wilderness. So I was up at like 11,000 feet or so, and yeah, no, you definitely feel it. And it
Wait,
was
what
like
do you feel? I don't think I've been up that high in a long time.
So the oxygen is you're not able to get as much oxygen when you're at that high of elevation. So you start to get headaches. If you're really high, like on Everest, you only get like 30% of your oxygen up there. So it can actually be very deadly. So there's like brain stuff that can happen to you, like swelling or like nitrogen bubbles or weird stuff. So it is a thing. Yeah, definitely. I guess I called it.
Well,
Wow.
unlike you guys, I didn't go on a trip. I actually stayed, but I did go. I did go out exploring.
Yeah, you've explored a ton. I see your Instagram. You got some good photo ops out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I see you hanging out with some ex-students.
Oh yeah, no, they're way cooler than you guys. But like, anyways, like, yeah, I started getting into photography and everything, but then like whenever I wouldn't, I feel like Twitch streaming like helped me, like fill out most of the time during the break. So it was also fun like seeing my cousins again too. That was really fun. I miss them too. So, but yeah, we unlike you guys, I didn't go out to anywhere like big. Didn't go to Big Bear, or Arizona. I just stayed here.
But you're happy,
Well,
right?
that's lame.
Yeah, Ethan. And also, Ethan, I just wanted to remind you
Cool
that
kids, huh, Ethan?
Yeah, your family sounds boring.
Well, I mean, we how about this? We are during our Thanksgiving break. We wore our masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did.
At your
At the
like
house.
at your gathering?
Yeah, at my aunt's house, we just all had masks on. It was so weird.
Well, if you guys can't quarantine or whatever ahead of time, that's one
Yeah.
that's one way to
I,
try to
I
do it.
appreciate that they were being safe, and it
That's
was
good.
nice to see them.
It's yeah, I don't know about you guys. Thankfully, like my whole family's taking all these things seriously, but I'm sure there's some distant family members maybe where there could be some tension in that. But I have a question for everybody, and I feel like, is there some new weird thing that you've picked up during quarantine that you do now? I'll leave mine to the end. Or maybe not even a weird thing. Just, I'll tell you what my normal thing is. I've been riding my bike a lot. And so that has been my main source of mental health tending to. So I've been riding a ton. What have you all been doing?
that sounds like a lot of fun. I know when I was younger, this is completely unrelated, but I used to bike a lot. And
It's
but
the best.
man,
It's like exploring every day.
it really is. And that the kind of the rush of air you have, I don't know, it brings back a lot of memories. But now I don't know what I mean, obviously I'm painting my nails, I'm finding a lot of comfort in baking and cooking but I know during COVID I've spent a lot of time being frustrated. Just like being frustrated with this what's going on in the world, and I spent a lot of time just I never used to be a super like person who was up to date with the news. And I know I've been kind of educating myself on various social justice issues or trying to learn more about how like it works.
Yeah,
in the
you're always posting.
always way too much 24/7, but I try to I want to stay educated. I want to remind people that I think I'm just going to another thing, but I think everybody has influence, whether you have 5 followers or 5,000 followers. So yeah.
Sophie, you brought up something that like I really thought was really interesting. You said that you found comfort in doing something. What was it? Baking again? You said you found comfort in baking. I think that's really important when like especially in the quarantine right now. Like we all have to find some sort of comfort. Like especially with you, Sunya, as you said you liked biking. I don't know if that brings you comfort, but like
Totally.
I assume it does. I assume
Yes,
like
absolutely.
like when it comes to comfort, like I feel like that's something really important that we all have to keep in mind whenever we do something during quarantine, because like if we're not comfortable doing it, like it's either we're trying to do it in order to do something better, or like it's relaxing to us. If it's comforting, it's relaxing. And I feel like you know I personally find watching something that I worked really hard like making just come together into one small little thing, no matter how many hours it took. I feel like I find comfort finding it, like just come to something solid. And like yeah. And like also like Safia, you said you found comfort in baking. Like I also find like comfort in food too. Like I started cooking more, especially with the amount of time that we had. I definitely like I feel like I wouldn't have cooked this much, but like with all the time, I explored a lot of things that I wouldn't have imagined exploring. I cooked things that I wouldn't have imagined I explored. I even started making my own recipes, which I'm like really happy about.
Ethan, I need some recipes. I am sick and tired of everything that I make and cook. I'm like so over all of it.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. Like I started doing the most weirdest combinations. Like I put ketchup on rice, and it was weird.
Maybe
it
I'll
was,
ask someone else.
no,
Yeah.
trust me. It was like the process was weird. The outcome was pretty good.
Ricky, what are some recipes that you've come up with in
Or
this
just other
time?
comfort things that you've been doing.
Okay. Hey, I can make a pretty killer instant ramen. Yo,
Do you
think I'll
dress
stick
it
with
up? You dress
Ricky.
it up. You add
yeah.
there's a little corn and like leftover stuff.
No,
You
need
add
to.
the
Yeah,
sesame
that's the right word.
oil. You got the whole.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
key. The sesame oil is
key.
key. That's
Wow,
totally
I've
key.
never heard anyone else say that. Yeah.
No. It's if I don't get the ramen that comes with the sesame oil packet, I have a bottle of sesame oil to add to those. Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, it sounds really interesting. You guys done a lot of things during quarantine, but what was the point of it all? There's no other way for me to really put it. What do you think you know now that you don't know before? At what point are you now that you weren't or you wanted to be?
I think I'm definitely more social, because like with quarantine, like taking away everything that we can't socialize that much anymore. So I kind of like, I kind of forced myself to be more social. And I think photography helped me do that because, I went out. The story is pretty much I went out, I saw a really cute dog, and, I had to gather up all that courage and everything just to ask the owner, like, hey, can I take a photo of your dog?
Can I pet your dog?
I probably sounded really awkward, but to me that was such a monumental moment because like before quarantine, I was like I'm pretty outgoing to the people I'm comfortable with, but with people I barely know, I like to stay as quiet as possible. But like now, after that one moment with that dog, I love that dog so much just for that one moment because that dog was the reason why like I started talking. I'm more comfortable talking to strangers now. It's like I'm more social like to other people besides just the people I'm usually comfortable with. And I think that's pretty big to me.
That's huge. That's a big one.
That's awesome. Well, this is unlike what Ethan says. This is kind of the opposite. But like I said earlier, I kind of realized because of the state of the world, because of the state of things are happening to me, the things are happening to my friends, I was really depressed for a long, long time. And I think that I kind of learned that it's okay to be sad. I'm allowed to be depressed. It's okay to sit inside myself and feel those feelings and give them space. But it's also okay to kind of move on to the next thing and kind of find the things that make me happy. So, and I think it was also really important to find the little things that that kind of like were important to me like after that. So I kind of found comfort in doing the little things and being in the moment in these little moments. Maybe it was just staying up and watching Cobra Kai with my brothers or something. So yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely learned patience and to enjoy the time that it actually takes to get things done and get them done well. One old man example that I have is, I got to work on my house a lot during this time. And probably in any other time, I would have hired someone to do most of the work on the house, the more advanced. I had to remove some old wood siding on the side, and I had all this damage, and I ended up just doing it myself. And I found a lot of joy in getting my hands dirty again, to actually using them, because back in our normal APN times, that's when we were so hands-on, and I miss all that so much. I think that's why I'm still trying to find ways to be active, and that's why the biking has been just so fantastic for me. It's like the healthiest I've ever been. Somehow it's the healthiest I've ever been in the middle of a pandemic, but I've learned to really make the most of this difficult situation. So I've been happy with my alone time as best I can, and then also realize, man, like I really miss my friends, and they're really important to my life and my family. And when this is all over, I'm going to do a much better job of keeping up with all of those people.
That's awesome. Okay, well, that got really deep. and kind of sad and really fast, but that's okay. And that's a wrap to this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening to Season 2, Chapter 3 of APN's Waveform. It was so nice talking to everyone today, and I'm sad it had to end. But if you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, don't forget to watch APN's weekly news shows every Friday at 1 p.m. This has been Safia. Tune in next week on APN's Waveform.